Amanda Leitner, and welcome to Rochester Rising, where we amplify the stories of Rochester entrepreneurs. Welcome to episode 248 of the podcast. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with us today to learn about small business and the culture of entrepreneurship in Rochester, Minnesota. We hope that you learned something today from entrepreneurs themselves that can help with your own entrepreneurial journey. We release a podcast each Wednesday here at Rochester Rising. You can find the podcast on our website at rochesterrising.org. You can also listen in wherever you like to listen into your podcasts. You've obviously found us on some way, but we are anywhere you like to listen in, including on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We have 5 years of podcasts for you to listen into, as well as articles and videos on our website at rochesterrising.org, telling the stories of both new and very experienced business owners. We hope you can find a story that you can connect with. Here at Rochester Rising, we are part of a larger organization called Collider, which is a Rochester, Minnesota-based nonprofit that activates, connects, and empowers early-stage entrepreneurs in the community. You can learn more about Collider and how our organization can help accelerate and assist your entrepreneurial journey at collider.mn. We launched this podcast and the Rochester Rising platform in general in 2016 to tell stories of entrepreneurship taking place in our community in Rochester, Minnesota. We especially focus on stories of entrepreneurship and business ownership that otherwise would not have been told. We take a lot of time to understand each entrepreneur and what their experience has been like in this community. As many of you know, we've been running this fundraising campaign to keep Rochester Rising going, and we are greatly, greatly appreciative of everyone who stepped up to help Rochester Rising and keep it going. We are so happy to announce that we have reached a solution. We have figured out a way to keep Rochester Rising going. So the podcast will continue after this episode. We have to take a little bit of a break just to get more podcasts recorded, but we will be back in mid to late November with brand new stories from entrepreneurs here in our community. So stay tuned for more information in November, but thank you so much for everyone who stepped up, supported this podcast, and really let us know as well how important these stories are to you. You know, sometimes it's hard to see the impact that we're having in the community that doing this work for 5 years has had. So thank you so much to everyone who's reached out to myself, to others on the Collider team, or through social media and otherwise to let us know how much these stories mean to you and to actually step up and to support them. Greatly, greatly appreciate this more than you will know. This week on the podcast, which thankfully is not our last, but if it was, I thought it would be a wonderful way to end the podcast. But again, it is not the last podcast, but we had some very big news come out of Rochester, Minnesota in September. We had 3 Rochester-based businesses win their divisions and more at Minnesota Cup this year. So if you've not heard of Minnesota Cup before, it is an annual pitch competition for Minnesota-based companies. This is the largest statewide business pitch competition in the nation. It reaches all across Minnesota to all of the counties, and startups that participate have to be based in Minnesota. And throughout this competition, they get mentorship, pitch practice, and seed funding. This is a pretty rigorous process. It starts early in the spring and just wrapped up here in late September. Startups enter in 9 different divisions, and they compete for prize funding within their divisions. There's a divisional winner, and these winners go on to compete for a grand prize. And again, that grand prize ceremony just happened in late September here in Minneapolis. So we had not 1, not 2, but 3 startups win their divisions this year in the Minnesota Cup Business Pitch Competition, and they were Shrpa, Canomiks, and Nanodropper. So we've told the stories of these businesses before on Rochester Rising. These are wonderful entrepreneurs and just great people to have here in the community. So if you haven't checked out their full stories that we've told before, we'll link those in the show notes as well, because these are just kind of snippets of conversation. But I got to sit down with co-founders from each of these startups over the past month to share more about their business and what the experience at Minnesota Cup meant for them, as well as what it means for them to be part of the Rochester ecosystem. So I talked with co-founders Chris Lukenbill of Shrpa, Leena Pradhan-Nabzdyk of Canomiks, and Allisa Song of Nanodropper. During various times around the grand prize ceremony in late September and early October, I talked to these individuals. So you'll hear a little bit of a different timeline. I talked first with Chris, then Leena, and then lastly with Allisa weeks after the competition had ended. But they have some great insight to share with you about what this process meant to them and why they continue to stay here in Southeast Minnesota. So in addition to each of these companies winning their divisions, all three of them won seed funding from the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. Canomiks won the Greater Minnesota Impact Award from Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. And so proud to announce that Nanodropper won the entire Minnesota Cup competition. A Rochester-based team, and they are the first student-led team to ever win Minnesota Cup. So congratulations so much to Shrpa, to Canomiks, and to Nanodropper for representing our communities and for their very impressive wins at Minnesota Cup. Before we launch into this podcast, talking with three co-founders from these different startups, I just wanted to take a quick moment to acknowledge our sponsor, Clifton Larson Allen, or CLA. The team at CLA would love to get to know you, learn more about your vision, and see if they can help. CLA is a full-service CPA firm with over 100 offices nationally, including right here in Rochester. Sure, they do taxes and audits, but they also focus on helping startups refine their vision, build budgets, work with banks and investors, and track and organize their accounting. They are deeply experienced at building the business systems that allow you to focus on what you do best: get product market fit, growing sales, hiring talent, and creating a thriving enterprise. Contact Todd Churchill at toddchurchill@claconnect.com or give him a call at 507-280-2317 to learn more. All right, so now on to the podcast with our divisional winners and overall winner from this year's Minnesota Cup. So first up, I got to talk with one of the co-founders of Shrpa, Chris Lukenbill. So the co-founders of Shrpa are Chris Lukenbill and Andy Vig. They are a Rochester-based company. They're actually started in Collider, in our co-working space. So this is a story that's very special to us. So I talked with Chris right after he had done his final pitch for the grand prize ceremony. So he did not know who would win Minnesota Cup. He already knew that he had won the high-tech division with his startup, Shrpa. So Chris will talk a lot more about Shrpa, but this business started a little over 2 years ago to help travelers find more things to do in their local community. All right, so now let's chat with Chris Lukenbill, co-founder of Shrpa. So pretty straightforward. Just wanted to start out by asking you to talk a little bit about Shrpa and where the idea came from for the business.
Yes. So Shrpa started a little over 2 years ago now. And the original idea was from the traveler side of it. How do you find more things to be able to do in your local community? If you don't have a group of friends that are always out there experiencing new things and exploring new things that they can share with you, how do you find that information that goes beyond just a directory or a review site where you have to put a lot of work in to be able to figure out, well, what could you actually do for a day if you traveled over to Wabasha or, some community that you're not familiar with traveling all the time? And so that's where it started out. And we worked on it for about a year and a half, just focused on that traveler to creator side. How do you get people to create new things so that people can discover new things? And is it valuable? Are we creating the right thing? Do people find value in that? And then once we figured that out, then we were figuring out, okay, how do we make this grow? And that's where lining up with the visitors bureaus, they're trying to do the same thing. They're trying to promote their local communities to be able to get people out there and exploring. And so we're able to provide them with a tool that allows them to promote the experiences in their local communities. So that's where it started. That's where we're at now.
So we wanted to talk about Minnesota Cup because you won the high tech division this year. And we were talking right before that, 5 years ago, you didn't really see companies from Rochester in Minnesota Cup. So can you talk about what your experience with Shrpa was like in Minnesota Cup and what this means for your business moving forward?
Yeah. So this is something that's kind of strange. So we actually just got done with our grand prize pitch. I just finished that up about 15 minutes ago. And that is that's the last thing I'm going to be doing in the Minnesota Cup for the foreseeable future, which is kind of strange because I've been applying to the Minnesota Cup. This was the 7th time that we've applied to the Minnesota Cup in different companies and all of that, right? So this was actually the 3rd time that we did it with Shrpa. So right away when it was an idea, we applied and we went through the Ignite Cup, didn't make it in that year. Last year we applied and went through the Ignite Cup and made it in that way. And then this year we were able to apply and make it in again. And last year we finished 3rd in the high tech division, which allowed us to be able to come back. And a couple of things with that. The reason why I mentioned that is that for us, it has been a phenomenal experience every time that we've even just applied to the Minnesota Cup. It's been really helpful to be able to help understand how to formulate the business plan around your business a little bit more solidly, a little bit more to the point where you can explain it to somebody else. And that practice is always so valuable. And then when we got the experience of actually getting to the high tech division, getting 3rd place in the high tech division last year, we're able to get all of the mentorship from it. And so we were really able to get everything out of the Minnesota Cup last year, minus the prize money at the very end, even though we were able to get money from the most innovative Greater Minnesota company. Like that was really helpful last year as well. And so it's been so valuable every year to be able to help with formulating ideas and working through the decision points of how do we grow this and how do we build this around it. And then for this year, this experience was just kind of the culmination of all of that, where now we have not only the experience and the way to be able to pitch it, but now we have a business with traction and we have customers and we can point to all of the things that we were doing, where in years past, it was maybe a little bit more, we always kind of described it as hand wavy. Here's the things that we're going to do. And now this year we're able to go into it and say, that's what we told you we were going to do. We actually did it and we are doing more. So it's nice to be able to come into it with some traction and with some proof to be able to show that. And yeah, it's just been phenomenal. The mentorship, the experience of being able to practice things out. It's just been a great experience. And I think going forward for us now, it's just another thing to be able to help to get the word out, especially locally, so that people know about it, of what we're doing. It's another proof point to be able to help show people like, hey, here's something to take us seriously. I think last year, the success that we had really helped us to be able to get into the Explore Minnesota Co-op marketing program, which has really helped us to get the success that we had this year, which is now opening the doors for regional and national growth, right? So it all builds upon each other. And I'm excited to see what the results are this year with the success that we've had.
It's been a really rapid acceleration over the past 2 years for sure, for Shrpa.
Yes, it has. It has. And it really comes down to all of those past experiences, right? We've just been stacking up all of those experiences to be able to have the ability now when we have a product ready to go that we can execute on it and be able to, it seems fast, but it's been 10 plus years that I've been doing this and growing in different companies. Right. And so it's one of those, hopefully one of those overnight successes that just takes 12 years to do it. So.
No, that's very true. It's all your past experiences that contribute to the decisions you're making now.
Yep.
So, we talked a little bit about local. What keeps Sherpa based in Rochester, and what does it mean to you to be part of the ecosystem here?
Yeah, it's the people side of it that have helped us so much. So we've had amazing people that have been able to kind of be there for us the entire way, and be able to kind of help both shine the spotlight on what we're doing, right? So the work that you've been able to do to shine the spotlight on all the startups, and be able to promote what we're doing is so helpful. At the same time, being able to have people to be able to go to and just commiserate with at some points too, right? So there's sometimes where you just need a support community, and that's the other thing that's been so helpful with it. And then I would say even on top of that, just the fact that we're Midwest and we're not Twin Cities, I think that combination makes it so that we're much more practical in what we create. We're solving problems in what we do, right? It's not because we have a huge momentum of a startup industry and we're just spinning out startups right and left. It's because people are trying to solve actual problems. And I feel like that, I don't know, I feel so much more value coming out of that. So it's even when you're not, having a giant exit, because you're not always having those big success points of an exit or of a acquisition or of a huge customer sale, right? So, but just going through that process of building and growing and getting customers and building something valuable, like that's there's a lot of success just in that portion of it as well. And I feel like this community does a really good job of highlighting that and helping with that, which, we really appreciate.
Yeah. Well, congratulations so much again on your win. And this will air after the Minnesota Cup winner is announced, and that's in like 3 days. But fingers crossed for you and your team. That was my last question. I ask you for any final thoughts you have, and where's the best place people can find out more about Sherpa?
Yes. Well, again, I'm just going to reiterate the fact that this community has been so helpful, and the work that you've been doing has been so helpful. And so thank you so much for that. And then as far as the best place to be able to find out more about Sherpa, you can go to sherpa.com, and that's shrpa.com. And you can find out more there, both about experiences in working with communities and becoming a creator, all of those things. So thank you again for your time.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Chris, for the conversation today. I think you remain the most frequent podcast guest. I'm just going to say.
Yes. Yes. I love it.
So next, I got to talk with one of the co-founders and CEO of Canomiks, Leena Pradhan-Nabzdyk. So I talked with Leena right after the Minnesota Cup grand prize ceremony, or the next day. So she was so excited about the event, the outcomes, the prize money that they won, as well as having a winner from Rochester. So Leena will share more with you about her company. But Canomiks was launched in 2016 by 3 clinicians and scientists in Cambridge, Massachusetts, but Leena moved the company here to Rochester in August 2019. Canomiks has developed a technology platform using genomics and bioinformatics and artificial intelligence, and they provide scientific solutions to companies to test and certify the biological efficacy of their ingredients and formulations. All right, so now more from Leena Pradhan-Nabzdyk, CEO and co-founder of Canomiks. Yeah, if you want to start just by talking a little bit about your company, especially if people haven't heard of it before, what's kind of your elevator pitch that you give?
Yeah, so at Canomiks, we have developed a technology platform called Product Superiority Platform using genomics, bioinformatics, and artificial intelligence technologies. And through that, we provide scientific solutions to companies in the dietary supplement, functional food, functional beverage industry so that they can develop safe and efficacious products. So that's what we do. So so we are a life sciences company, but we provide services to that functional food, functional ingredient, dietary supplement industry. And we provide end-to-end science-backed solutions. The So we have three different solutions. One is for product validation. The second one is for ingredient testing and certification. And the third one is for product invention. And again, all three of them are based on genomics, bioinformatics based technologies. So the product validation solution is used by the customers to test the biological safety and efficacy of their products. So for example, would be if you were to, if you wanted to test, let's say, a formulation that you have designed for joint health, and you want to have the best efficacy of your formulation, and you were debating between the different ingredients. So ashwagandha plus turmeric plus, let's say, CBD, and we can test it for you and let you know that maybe ashwagandha could be eliminated from the formulation. It doesn't add anything, or maybe it is not even good. So that's what we do, and for product validation, and that helps the customers also to support their nutritional claims, help them design efficient clinical trials, help them reduce their R&D costs, because a lot of the companies in this market don't have in-house R&D, and they're mostly marketing companies. They don't know where to go. So that's what we do. And we already have customers for that solution. Then the second solution is where we test the ingredients before they're made into the products, because these ingredients come from all over the world, fragmented supply chains. They differ for every batch, and the current method of testing them is inadequate and exposes these companies to product and compliance risk. So we have developed a scalable solution where we can test the biological effect and safety of these ingredients for every batch. And this is a new standard that we are creating. This has never been done before. And we then provide, if that ingredient passes the test, then we also provide a Can Trust by Canomiks, our certification seal, on the packaging. So when a consumer looks at that package, they will know that this is a quality product they can trust. And the first ingredient test that we're launching is for CBD. Then the third solution is for product invention. So we have curated 2 proprietary databases using thousands of data points from clinical trials and from peer-reviewed publications, and then build algorithms on top of it. And our technology is called GeneTune. And using GeneTune, we can now design science-backed formulations to target specific chronic health conditions and wellness outcomes. And more importantly, GeneTune can also be used for personalized nutrition. So we can design formulations for individuals based on their current health and wellness status. So you can see we provide these end-to-end solutions. So we can design a formulation if you want us to do that, and then we can validate it. And once we hone on to the final recipe for that formulation, then we can on an ongoing basis test the ingredients before they are made into products. Or if you have your own product, then we can also help you validate that. Or if you don't want to test your product, but just want to use us for your ingredient testing, we can do that as well. So we've really become the go-to science company for major industry leaders in this industry.
So when did Canomiks start as a company, and where did the original idea come from for what you're doing today?
So we actually started Canomiks in 2016, but we didn't do much with it. And we started that in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So we are 3 co-founders. All 3 of us are clinicians or scientists. And we started Canomiks in an effort really to bring science to this growing industry of dietary supplements and functional food, etc. I think the number is like at least 77% of US adults use dietary supplements, and 25% use functional beverages to maintain health and wellness. And we were seeing that. And my PhD is in pharmacology. My co-founder, Manoj Bhasin, is a PhD in genomics bioinformatics. And Frank, our third co-founder, is a surgeon. And, we were all coming from that background. We were really interested to see or to explore how do people make decisions in the products that they consume, or how are these products made? And Manoj was doing some other work with effect of yoga on your genes, and how does it help your body, etc. And so that led us to this path of alternative therapies. And so the next thing that we looked into was Ayurveda, because both Manoj and I, we grew up in India. And, when you grow up in India, you're constantly being told, oh, eat turmeric for this, eat ginger for that. And so we were looking, and then we started seeing those same trends, or we started seeing trends of using those same ingredients in the Western world. And that's when we started researching and exploring what is done, what is not done. And what we found was, there is really need of science. There is lack of scientific validation in this industry. And there are a lot of companies who want to do that, but they don't even know where to start. And then there are other companies that don't care. But the consumer, at the end of the day, what we realized in our research was the consumer absolutely cares. And so our goal was to bring science to this industry. And based on our pharma, biotech backgrounds, we thought, we would be best suited, or we could bring our expertise to this industry.
So you just wrapped up Minnesota Cup last night. You won your division, food, ag, and beverage. So congratulations, and had some other awards in there as well that I'll let you talk about. But what was your experience like at Minnesota Cup, and what did that mean for you and your company?
Yeah, so it was exciting last evening. We were 3 companies from Rochester, Minnesota that won our division finals. And our grand finale winner is also from Rochester, Nanodropper. So, hey, go Rochester. So the Min Cup, the initial application started in May. So this has been going on for the last 4 months. It almost became a job, but it was really good because when you are in this midst of your, building your startup and working with your clients, and sometimes, you just get, no, you don't get lost, but it becomes like, okay, this is what I'm doing day to day. But what helped with, we had to write a business plan, and we had to put together a pitch deck. What that helped was to really reflect back. And a lot of those questions were based, the typical business plan questions, who are your target customers, et cetera. But a lot of it was also, where did you start? What was your idea? Did you pivot? So it made us reflect. And it was a very comprehensive business plan, 10-page business plan, which I haven't done in a long time. But I think this was the longest business plan we have written. But it really made us think deeply, right? Because in your day-to-day, you don't, you have to take time to, see what's coming up, what have we done. But this really was very detailed. So that was great. So we had to send in an application. The first application, I think, was in April even, and then we got selected to be the semifinalists, and there were 9 other companies or 8 other companies in our division, and then the semifinalists had to do a showcase, and then out of the semifinalists, 3 finalists were chosen, and then we won the division final. But all throughout, the Min Cup team of Jamie, Bartlett, and Jessica were extremely helpful. They put together a really great program throughout those 3 or 4 months, giving us, really great advice about marketing, about sales, about pitching. And of course, our mentors. We had really great mentors who, made us, and I think it was also helpful because they brought in fresh perspective, right? And these were not people that we had talked to before. They didn't even know about us. So that really helped as well. One of our mentors, Stephen, was like so detail oriented and so, so helpful. And he was just phenomenal. And so we're really grateful for them. And I'm exhausted today, but hey, it was a great outcome. Loved it. I think more states should do this, should replicate this, I think. And one thing I would, however, say is that we need Min Cup to reach out communities within Minnesota, that I'm sure have a lot of entrepreneurial communities, but maybe, we can do a better job at that beyond Rochester and beyond the Twin Cities, I think. I'm sure they do that, but yeah. And we are also excited to announce that we won the Minnesota DEED Award for Impact. And we also won the award along with Nanodropper and Shrpa for Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. So thank you to both of those organizations, both MNDEED, which has the Launch Minnesota Initiative, which is also helping a lot of entrepreneurs in Minnesota. So, and then also Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation also doing the same thing. So yeah, we are excited, and thank you again.
So, you have been in the Rochester community here for a few years. What does it mean to you to be growing your business from Rochester, from Cambridge as well, but you're here? What does that mean to you? And for people listening in, what do you think they should know about the ecosystem here in Rochester?
Yeah, so we moved here, as you know, Amanda. I think my first interview ever was with you when I first moved in 2019. This was like before COVID. So we moved here in August 2019, and before we moved, we had already made the decision for the company to be moved here, but had not really started doing the work. Had to figure out how the operations are going to work and how that is going to look like. And of course, then COVID hit, right? And so we moved the company amidst COVID, formed our presence here in Minnesota in July of last year, and hired one of our first full-time people from Minnesota. And we just had to do the whole hybrid team. So our teammates are all over, but the ecosystem, however, in Rochester has been very, very helpful. Jamie from Collider, other entrepreneurs, we have formed sciences group that meets once every month, and it's just a safe space to talk about all our challenges and to help out each other. So that's been phenomenal. And then also we have our Slack community and the Rady group and Sean, and everyone has been so supportive. Like anytime I have a question, like I did last week with you and a couple other people, just, hey, can you give me some advice about this? And so, there's always a go-to safe place for entrepreneurs. And I love that. Again, I mentioned that early on in the interview that 3 of our companies from Rochester are the winners. And so that tells you that, we are, the entrepreneurs here are excited. We are doing, and all 3 companies are very different from each other too, right? So, so excited to be in this ecosystem. I think it's growing. It's exciting. It's very helpful. As an entrepreneur, you need a lot of. It's like raising a child, right? You need a village, and that's how I think about our Rochester ecosystem. Again, I come from Cambridge, Massachusetts, or Boston, Massachusetts, where the ecosystem is very mature, right? And there are ecosystems within ecosystems in Massachusetts. And so sometimes in that situation, you can get lost. You don't, yes, there are a lot of people, a lot of successful startup companies, but then you don't know where to go. Here, yes, we're small, but that also helps you in a way that, everybody knows everybody. I think that's a big thing about Rochester, or maybe it's a Minnesota thing, that people are always eager to help you. People know each other, and they want you to be successful. So
that was my last question. I'll ask you for any final thoughts and what's the best way people can learn more and connect with yourself and Canomiks.
Yeah, so please visit us at www.canomiks.com. That's our website, but you can also directly reach to me, Leena, Leena, at canomiks.com. Always happy to answer any questions, be it about Canomiks, be it about moving your company from some outside of Rochester to Rochester, or just anything. And hopefully someday we'll all be able to hang out and have a coffee together like old days. So yeah, I'm always available to give any advice or help.
And finally, I got to talk with co-founder and CEO of Nanodropper, Allisa Song. So I talked with Allisa just a few weeks ago, a few weeks after the grand prize ceremony had wrapped up. So they knew they were the division winner of the student division, and they knew that they had won the entire competition by this time. So Allisa had a really wonderful story to share about what this win meant for her and her team and why they think it's so important to be in the Rochester ecosystem. So Nanodropper is named after their flagship product, the Nanodropper, which is an adapter. They've created the first eye drop bottle adapter that reduces medication waste from eye drop bottles to provide better patient and provider outcomes. Nanodropper was the first student-led team to ever win the Minnesota Cup. Right now, they have sales of their Nanodropper adapter from their website, as well as they are in over 300 eye care clinics across the U.S. All right, so now let's listen into the conversation with Allisa Song, co-founder and CEO of Nanodropper. But yeah, no, I appreciate you linking up for this today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on your show again.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to start by having you give, your elevator pitch for Nanodropper. So what is Nanodropper for people who might not be familiar? What kind of services do you have on the market now?
Yeah, Nanodropper, our company is named after our flagship product, the Nanodropper adapter. And we created the world's first eye drop bottle adapter that reduces the medication waste found in current eye drop bottles. And this is to reduce the barrier, the financial barrier to access to these vision-saving medications so that we can provide better outcomes for patients and their providers. And we also offer accessory products on our website, and we are just about getting ready to launch an app that accompanies a calendar for our patients that can help adhere to their medication regimen.
Well, that's super important and very exciting.
Yeah, we're very excited.
Medication adherence is such an issue with a lot of people, especially if they have multiple, it just, gets to be a lot to manage. So
yeah, absolutely. When we first were talking to patients way back in the beginning, when we were not even a company, just trying to understand the pain points that our customers face when they're trying to do their best and adhere to what their doctors tell them to do. We had like a list of top 5 things that are barriers to perfect adherence. And so as we grow as a company, we are trying to tackle all of those problems that are in the way of patients being able to maintain their vision and their way of life.
So I know we've talked before, or I've heard you talk before about, the importance of pitch competitions, especially for a Nanodropper. You've done a lot of them, student competitions, and now Minnesota Cup, your latest competition, which you won, which is super, super exciting. We do not have many winners ever coming out of Rochester. So this is big news for our community. So excited when you all won it, which was a couple weeks ago. But if we back up a little bit, what was your journey like with Minnesota Cup? What was that experience like? And was this your first year, or have you applied before?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was just an incredible journey. It started back in the spring, if I'm remembering correctly. So it was months of preparation and rounds after rounds. And we feel like the feedback that we received and the mentorship that we received along the way that got us to the finish line and ultimately win the grand prize, I feel like it's just a testament of like the network that we built and how much growth we had during that period to be able to articulate what we really were trying to do as a company and our vision going forward. And I think one of the funnest parts was all the networking that we did with other entrepreneurs in the space. And as a Minnesota company, we were really excited delve into the ecosystem that's available in the Twin Cities, because we had been a bit isolated and removed from the Twin Cities as a company presence due to COVID. I mean, we spent half of our time as a company during COVID. So I feel like this was just the once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to make those connections and really get ourselves out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did not get to hear your pitch. I think I had something else going on at the time, but I heard it was amazing from everyone who heard it.
Thank
you. Congratulations. I'd seen you pitch before and had the opportunity to watch you grow over the past couple years. And yeah, I heard your pitch was absolutely incredible. So congratulations on all the work you put in.
That's so kind. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was a little bit rusty just because it has been so long since I pitched in front of a live audience and not through Zoom. But that like excitement that you get up on stage when you have all the eyes on you, I that was really rejuvenating for me.
That's true. Yeah, you probably haven't pitched in front of people for like 2 years at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Which is a long time. Yeah, so you won your division, which was the student division, won Minnesota Cup overall, which is an amazing accomplishment. You know, what does that mean to you on a personal level, as a team, as a business? What did winning Minnesota Cup and the student division mean to you?
Wow. That's a great question. For our team, I think it was just a very validating moment for us, especially with a historic win like this, where we learned that we're the first student run team to ever win the Minnesota Cup. And as a student-led team, we've encountered a lot of challenges along the way with perception from the outside, including investors and even other startups. And I think this really gave us that boost in our morale and that we are doing the right things. It doesn't matter if you have a CEO that's still a student. Like, we have all the things that we need, and our outcomes and what we are accomplishing is proof that we are able to get there, despite what our team composition looks like. And even it's funny because I often get asked the question of like, oh, how do you do it as like a student entrepreneur? And the way that we got through the Minnesota Cup was very much how we do everything else, where it's a full team sport, where I wasn't the only person that pitched, actually. Our co-founder, Mackenzie, actually did some of the rounds as well. And so even though I was the face of the company for the final pitch, behind the scenes, it was literally every single person in our company working together for the Minnesota Cup. And I thought it was just a classic representation of how we work. And I think why we work so well together, because we have this seamless workflow. So yeah, I was just really proud personally.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure, like you said, you had to overcome a lot of biases of people thinking that since you're so young, you know, that the talent is not on the team, which is totally untrue. You know, I honestly love and prefer working with student entrepreneurs because everyone's so willing to learn and to like work together.
Yeah, absolutely. We're still in that student mindset where everything's a collaboration and no one knows better than, or I guess I should say that again. Everyone's willing to work together and everyone's on this lifelong learning journey together. And so I love that mindset.
Well, it's an incredible accomplishment to be one of the few teams from Rochester who has ever won Minnesota Cup and the first student led team, which is an amazing accomplishment. Y'all should be so proud of what you've done and what you are continuing to build. Having interactions with a couple of you, I'm always super impressed with how dedicated everyone is to what you're doing. So my last question for you, we talked about this a little bit, but what does it mean for you to be part of the ecosystem here in Rochester and Southeast Minnesota? What do you feel are some strengths of it? Why do you continue to be here?
Yeah. I think the last time when we talked about the Minnesota Launch Grant and the innovation grants that initially made us call Minnesota our home. I think I forgot to answer your earlier question of if this is the first time that we applied to Minnesota Cup, and it is, because although we were registered as our headquarters are here, we were still in that transition phase before where we didn't really have a headquarters identity. But now we are a proud Rochester, Minnesota company, and we have the majority of our employees from this area. And I just think that we're able to showcase the best of the talent in Rochester that's sometimes not shown because Mayo Clinic is the number one employer in the area, and all of the plus ones that come to the area, the talent sometimes gets silenced. And so we are so excited to be able to take advantage of all of the talent that's here. And I think we're really representing the area, and we're trying to represent the area in the way that it deserves. And one of the things that we want to do is really grow a physical presence here as well. And we're looking for a space for our fulfillment facility. And so hopefully you'll be able to see a Nanodropper sign on your way to work in Rochester very soon. And throughout this journey, what we have learned, and I've talked about this recently with our co-founders when we met up for the Forbes Summit in Detroit, that if we were in the West Coast, or if we were one of the coastal cities, then we would get drowned out by just the sheer number of entrepreneurs and the sheer number of startup companies. But here in Southeast Minnesota, we know basically almost all the startup co-founders in the area, and we're able to really rely on each other for support. And we have this network that's more intimate, but we're able to shine and get the support from the community because we're almost like the only children of the area, the only child syndrome, I guess. So I feel like we're being very well spoiled by the community resources here and the ecosystem.
No, I think that makes sense. It's it's a smaller ecosystem, so the impact, you can be more impactful,
Exactly.
And it's easier to navigate for sure.
Yeah, even with our customers, our Rochester customers will call us on support and be like, hey, we're so proud of you guys. We never hear about Rochester in a lot of the national media. And they were just so happy that we're representing our city. And yeah, we're really proud to do it as well.
That's awesome. Well, that was my last question for you. I'll ask you for any final thoughts, and where's the best place for people to connect with Nanodropper and learn more?
Absolutely. So you can find us on our website at nanodropper.com. We are available for purchase on our website and also at more than 300 eye care clinics in the U.S., including some in the Twin Cities. And you can connect with us directly at support@nanodropper.com.
So, well, Allisa, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much to all of these wonderful individuals in the community for sitting down, sharing their time, sharing their stories with us today. And congratulations so much to each of you for all of the hard work you put in and validation of your work through this process. We are so proud to have you each in our community. If you have not heard the backstory of any of these businesses, we'll have our original conversations with Shrpa, Canomiks, and Nanodropper linked in our bio. Take some time this weekend, take some time on your drive home, read their stories, listen into the podcast episodes we did with them. Don't miss out on learning the stories of these businesses, how they started in Rochester, how they're growing in Rochester, and why they want to stay here. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today, taking some of your time to learn more about entrepreneurship in Minnesota. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure that you are subscribed wherever you are listening in. As a reminder, we will be taking a very, very short break. We'll be back in mid to late November with brand new podcast episodes. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss any of these stories. And we will see you in a few weeks with brand new podcasts.